Mike, picture this. You're at a party, someone walks up to you, smiles, and says, "So, how are you doing?"
Classic opener.
You say, "I'm fine, thank you," and then nothing. Absolute silence. You're standing there, they're standing there, and you're both just waiting for the other person to save you.
The slow death.
The slow, beautiful, humiliating death. You're thinking in your own language, you're translating, you're rejecting the translation, you're thinking of a different word, and by the time you have something to say,
They've already walked away to get a drink.
they've walked away, they've gotten the drink, they've had 3 more conversations, and you're still standing there holding your sentence.
We've all been there.
Every single person listening to this right now has been there. And if you haven't, honestly, teach us. Welcome to the English Conversation Podcast. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Mike, and today we're solving that problem permanently.
Not reducing it, not making it a little better, we're solving it.
Because the thing most people don't realize is running out of things to say in English has almost nothing to do with your vocabulary.
Did you catch that? Say it again, Mike.
Running out of things to say has almost nothing to do with your vocabulary.
Which is kind of shocking, because if you're like me when I was learning Spanish, the first thing I did was open a vocabulary app. More words, more words. If I just have more words, I'll be able to talk forever.
Right, and what happened?
I had a lot of words, and I still ran out of things to say after 30 seconds.
Because fluency isn't a storage problem. It's not about how many words you have sitting in a mental filing cabinet. It's about architecture, how you build your thoughts.
Okay, architecture. I love this. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Sure, think about a house. 2 houses can use the exact same bricks, same materials, same quantity. But one house is beautiful, functional, spacious. The other one is a pile of bricks on the ground.
Because the second one has no structure.
Exactly. Same with language. You might have all the words, but if you don't know how to structure your thoughts, how to expand them, connect them, layer them, you'll say one sentence and hit a wall.
And what we're teaching today is the architecture, the blueprint.
We're calling it the 3-step formula for thought architecture. Today, all 3 steps, one conversation. Let's go.
Okay, listeners, grab a notebook if you have one, or just listen carefully because we're going to demonstrate everything live. No scripts, no rehearsed lines.
Well, maybe slightly rehearsed.
Slightly. The pyramid method, Mike. What is it?
So, imagine a pyramid. At the very top, the tip is a single simple sentence. The most basic thing you can possibly say about a topic.
Like, I like coffee.
Perfect example. I like coffee. That's your tip. That's level 1. Now, most learners stop there. They say, I like coffee, and wait for the other person to respond and carry the conversation.
Which puts all the pressure on the other person.
Right, and it feels like an interview, not a conversation. Now, the pyramid method says don't stop at the tip, expand downward. And the way you expand is by asking yourself 4 questions.
4 questions?
4 questions. Who, where, why, how?
That's it?
That's it. Every single sentence you say in English can be expanded with those 4 questions. Who is involved? Where does this happen? Why does this happen? Or why do you feel this way? And how? How does it look? How did it happen? How do you do it?
So if I say I like coffee and I ask those 4 questions,
You suddenly have a paragraph, a whole world to talk about.
okay, I'm going to try this right now live. I like coffee. Why? Because I need it to start my mornings. Where? There's this little cafe near my apartment with these tiny round tables. How? I always drink it black, no sugar, which my friends think is deeply wrong.
And who?
And sometimes I go with my neighbor Maria, who takes 40 minutes to decide what she wants.
Look at that. 5 seconds ago, you had 3 words. Now you have a story. You have detail, personality, humor, all from I like coffee.
It's almost embarrassing how simple it is.
The best techniques always are, because in real life, you don't have time to run a complex process in your head. The pyramid method is fast. Once you practice it, it becomes automatic.
Okay, let's show people exactly how this works. 2 live demonstrations, 2 real-life scenarios where the pyramid method completely transforms your English.
The classic question, tell me about yourself.
The question that has ended more interviews than any bad answer ever has.
Because people hear it and go completely blank, even native speakers sometimes.
So, level 1 answer, the tip of the pyramid. I am a marketing professional with 5 years of experience.
That's fine. That's acceptable, but it's forgettable.
Now, let's build the pyramid. Why are you in marketing?
I got into marketing almost by accident. I studied psychology and I realized understanding why people make decisions is basically the same skill whether you're in a therapy room or writing a campaign.
Beautiful. Now, the interviewer is leaning forward. Where have you worked?
I've worked mostly in tech startups, small teams where you're responsible for everything from social media to event planning to writing the company newsletter at midnight.
Relatable. How do you approach your work?
I tend to start every project by asking one question. What does this person actually need? Not what they say they need, but what's underneath that. It slows me down at the beginning, but it saves a lot of time later.
And who? Who have you worked with? Who do you enjoy working with?
The best teams I've been on are the ones where people disagree openly and nobody takes it personally. That's rare, but when you find it, the work is completely different.
That's not an interview answer. That's a conversation.
And that's the goal. The moment you stop performing and start talking, genuinely talking, is the moment every interview changes. And notice we didn't script those answers. I gave Sarah the question, she built the pyramid in real time, layer by layer. You can do this too. It's not talent, it's a method.
People skip past this so fast. What do you do for fun? I like reading. Full stop.
And then the other person says, oh, cool, and you both look at your phones.
Let's blow that up. Hobby? Running. Level 1, I like running.
Okay, why? Honestly, I started running after a really difficult period in my life. I needed something that was completely mine. No emails, no notifications, just me and the road.
Where?
I run early in the morning, usually before the city wakes up. There's something strange about running through streets that are completely empty. It feels like the city belongs to you for an hour.
Go.
I run slowly. People always look surprised when I say that. They imagine runners are these intense athletic types. I'm not. I'm the person at the back of the race who's waving at the crowd.
I love that image. Who? I run alone mostly, but occasionally my sister joins, and then we spend the whole time talking and forget to run, and we end up walking and eating pastries, which somewhat defeats the purpose. Do you see what just happened? I like running became a personality, a story, a person. The interviewer, the barista, the person at the party, they're not thinking about grammar or vocabulary anymore. They're interested in you.
And that's the real goal of language, isn't it? Not to demonstrate grammar, not to prove you studied, but to connect.
It happened to me last Tuesday. I was at a dinner, new people, and I was doing everything right. I remembered the pyramid method. Someone asked me what I'd been working on lately, and I built the pyramid perfectly. Who, where, why, how. I was on.
And then?
And then I finished, and I looked at them, and they looked at me, and the topic was done, closed. And neither of us knew how to get from that topic to any other topic without it feeling like we were starting an entirely new conversation.
The dead end.
The dead end, which is different from the freeze we just talked about. The freeze happens because you run out of words. The dead end happens because you run out of road.
And it has a very specific answer. Today's technique is called the bridge. Here's the thing about native speakers that nobody talks about. If you want a fluent English conversation, really watch it. You'll notice that the topics almost never stay in one place for long.
They jump.
Constantly. Someone mentions a restaurant, then they're talking about a holiday they took 2 years ago, then they're on the topic of their grandmother's cooking, then somehow they're discussing a film that came out last year.
And none of those jumps feel jarring. None of them feel like a subject change.
Because they're not changing the subject, they're extending it. There's an invisible thread connecting each topic to the next, and that thread is what we call the bridge.
A bridge is a phrase, sometimes just 5 or 6 words, that creates a logical or emotional connection between two completely different ideas. It signals, I'm not abandoning what we were talking about, I'm taking us somewhere new, and you're invited.
It's the difference between a conversation that feels like a series of interviews.
And one that feels like a journey.
I want to be clear about something before we list these. These are not formal transition words from a textbook. These are the actual phrases that come out of native speakers in real time, without thinking.
Which means they should feel almost too casual.
Exactly. If they feel slightly too informal, that's right. That's the target. Here we go.
Number 1.
Speaking of which, the classic, the most natural bridge in the language. You use it when something in the current topic sounds like something in the next one, even if the connection is loose.
Like, we're talking about coffee. I mention it keeps me awake at night. You say, speaking of which, do you have trouble sleeping? Because I just discovered something about that.
Topic has shifted from coffee to sleep. Nobody noticed. Nobody minded.
Number 2.
That actually reminds me of. This one's slightly more personal. You're signaling that something the other person said has triggered a memory or story in you. It's a compliment disguised as a transition.
Which people love even if they don't consciously register it.
Number 3, on a completely different note, this one's honest about the jump. You're not pretending there's a logical connection. You're saying we're pivoting, and that's fine.
It works because the transparency itself is charming.
Number 4, which is funny because this sets up a contrast or an irony. You're about to say something that seems to contradict what came before. It creates anticipation.
The listener is already leaning in before you've said anything.
Number 5, and that's actually connected to something I've been thinking about. It positions you as someone who has a rich inner life. It makes the conversation feel intellectual without being academic.
Number 6.
You know what that makes me think of? A question bridge. You're pulling the other person in actively. You're not just transitioning, you're inviting them to wonder with you.
The answer almost doesn't matter. The wondering is the good part.
Number 7. Funnily enough, or oddly enough, these set up a surprising or counterintuitive point. The listener knows something unexpected is coming.
Number 8.
It's a bit like the analogy bridge. You're about to compare the current topic to something in a completely different domain. A good analogy can make someone understand something they've been confused about for years.
Number 9. The story bridge. You're pulling a personal memory into the conversation. Stories are the most engaging form of human communication. They activate the brain differently than facts or opinions.
And number 10. I don't know if this is related, but the humble bridge. It sounds uncertain, but it's actually a very confident move. You're flagging that your next thought might be a stretch, which makes the other person generous. They'll work to find the connection with you.
10 phrases. You don't need all 10. If you master 3 of these, speaking of which, that actually reminds me of, and which is funny because you have enough to bridge almost any conversation anywhere.
I want you to connect 2 topics using at least 3 bridges, live, right now, no preparation.
Fine. What are the topics?
The weather
Okay, simple enough.
and space exploration.
You want me to get from the weather to space exploration.
Using at least 3 bridges, naturally.
Those topics have nothing to do with each other.
Every topic has everything to do with every other topic. That's literally the point.
If this goes badly, blame him.
It won't go badly.
Here we go. You know, the weather has been genuinely strange this week. I walked outside yesterday and it was warm, and then within an hour it had completely changed. Gray skies, that particular kind of cold that gets into your coat.
Very British.
Very British. Speaking of which, I read that the UK actually has some of the most sophisticated weather prediction technology in the world. Apparently, the Met Office uses supercomputers to model millions of atmospheric variables simultaneously.
True, and those systems are extraordinary.
Which is funny because, and I think about this more than is probably healthy, the same kind of computational modeling they use to predict whether it'll rain on Thursday is essentially the same mathematical framework they use to model planetary atmospheres.
Keep going.
Mars has weather, right? Dust storms, temperature swings, seasons. And the way scientists study Martian weather patterns, that actually reminds me of something I read about the Perseverance rover. Apparently, it carries a small weather station on board. It measures wind speed, temperature, atmospheric pressure, all on another planet. A planet, Mike?
You just got from Tuesday's drizzle to a rover on Mars.
Using 3 bridges.
Did you catch him? Speaking of which, moved us from general weather to weather technology, which is funny because moved us from Earth's weather models to planetary atmospheres. That actually reminds me of moved us from planetary science to the Perseverance rover specifically.
3 bridges, 3 completely natural pivots, and the conversation never stopped,
It felt like following a thread.
which is exactly what it was. I want to go deeper on something. Why? Why do native speakers never seem to run out of things to say? Is it just that they know more words? Is it confidence?
It's a deeply ingrained habit of association. Native speakers, without knowing they're doing it, are constantly scanning everything they hear for connections to something else they know or have experienced.
So the conversation is never just about the topic on the surface.
Never. When a native speaker hears, "The weather has been strange this week," they're simultaneously thinking, "That reminds me of the storm last autumn," which reminds me of the trip I took during that storm, which reminds me of the person I met on that trip, in about half a second.
Subconsciously.
Completely subconsciously. And then they speak from that chain and the conversation moves.
So for language learners, the freeze isn't really a language problem.
It's an associative problem. When you're operating in a second language, so much of your mental energy is going toward processing, vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, that there's very little left for the associative scanning that native speakers do automatically.
You're spending all your RAM on the language.
Exactly, and there's nothing left to run the bridging software.
This is worth sitting with. A lot of learners feel shame around the freeze, like it's evidence that they're not good enough, not ready.
And it's none of those things.
It's just a processing load issue. Your brain is working incredibly hard, and the bridge phrases are there to give it a moment to breathe.
Think of it this way. A native speaker in conversation is like someone navigating a city they've lived in for 30 years. They know every shortcut. They take turns without thinking.
And a language learner is navigating the same city on the first day.
The pyramid method gives you a GPS for individual streets.
And the bridge technique gives you the ability to cross from one neighborhood to another without stopping the car.
Together, you can go anywhere. Say something.
What?
Right now, without thinking. Say something about architecture.
How can I put this? I think the buildings we build say more about what we're afraid of than what we love.
That's a great sentence.
Thank you.
You use the filler.
I did.
Did you notice?
Not really. That's the point, isn't it?
That is exactly the point. Let's talk about and and the long stretching that happens when your brain is loading and your mouth doesn't know what to do with itself.
Which, to be clear, every human being on Earth does, native speakers included.
Absolutely. The pause itself is not the problem. The brain needs time. Thinking takes a moment. That is not a flaw. That is biology.
The problem is what fills the pause.
Right. When fills the pause, something happens to the listener's brain. Without them consciously deciding to, they start to disengage. The rhythm of the conversation breaks.
It's like a film with a jump cut at the wrong moment. The spell breaks.
And here's the cruel irony. The doesn't actually buy you more time. Research on conversations suggests that filler sounds like and are processed by listeners as signals that the speaker is done, which means people are more likely to jump in and take the floor.
You used to hold your turn, and it handed your turn away.
Which makes it worse than silence.
So what do we use instead?
Thinking phrases, also known in our world as cool fillers. And the difference is enormous, not just linguistically, psychologically.
Because a thinking phrase signals something completely different to the listener.
Signals, I don't know what I'm doing. A thinking phrase signals, I am taking this seriously enough to consider it carefully. Same pause, completely different impression.
One makes you look lost, the other makes you look thoughtful.
And in English, thoughtfulness is one of the most attractive qualities a speaker can have.
People don't remember the most fluent person in the room.
They remember the most interesting one.
Number 1, to be perfectly honest.
Use this when you're about to share a genuine opinion, especially one that's slightly unexpected. It signals authenticity. It tells the listener what I'm about to say is the real thing, not the polished version.
To be perfectly honest, I think most productivity advice is just anxiety dressed up as discipline.
The listener immediately trusts you more, even if they disagree.
Number 2. That's a fascinating question. Let me think about that for a second.
This one is deceptively powerful. It compliments the other person while simultaneously buying you 3 to 5 full seconds of thinking time, guilt-free. It works in interviews and meetings and casual conversation, universally applicable.
Number 3. How can I put this?
One of my personal favorites. It signals that what you're about to say is nuanced, that it resists easy summary, which makes the listener lean in before you've said a word.
The anticipation is a technique.
Number 4, it's interesting you say that because
This is a bridge and a filler simultaneously. You're buying time and connecting to what the other person said, which makes them feel heard. Double function, very efficient.
Number 5, I've actually been thinking about this a lot lately.
This one is cinematic. It implies that this topic lives in you outside of this conversation. It makes your next sentence feel significant before you said it.
Number 6, the way I see it,
Clean, confident, direct. It positions what follows as your interpretation, which gives you the freedom to be subjective, to be bold. You're not stating a fact, you're sharing a perspective.
which means you can say almost anything after it,
Within reason.
within reason.
Number 7. And this is the part that gets really interesting.
This is a narrative filler. You're building suspense inside your own sentence. Nobody interrupts a sentence that promises something interesting is coming.
Number 8. Bear with me here.
Use this when you're about to make a connection that might seem like a stretch. It's charming. It invites the listener into your process rather than presenting a finished thought.
Number 9. There's something about this that I can't quite articulate, but
This is the most sophisticated one on the list. It acknowledges the limits of language, which is itself a kind of linguistic intelligence. And paradoxically, the moment you say you can't articulate something, you usually find the way to articulate it beautifully,
because the pressure is off.
because the pressure is off.
And number 10. What I mean is, or what I'm really trying to say is,
The recalibration filler. You use this when you've started a sentence in one direction and realize halfway through that there's a better, truer version of what you want to say. Instead of abandoning the sentence, you redirect it cleanly, transparently.
10 thinking phrases. You don't have to use all of them. Used too frequently, even the best fillers start to feel like a tick. The goal is to have them available, ready, so that when the pause comes, and it will come, you reach for one of these instead of
Replace the sound with the phrase. That's the whole technique. One substitution, enormous difference.
Not an easy topic, not a casual one. This is the kind of topic that comes up at dinner parties, at work, in interviews, everywhere, and completely freezes people because they think they need to be an expert to talk about it.
You don't. You need the 3 tools. Ready?
Ready.
Let's go. I was on the train last week, just sitting there, doing nothing in particular. And I realized I hadn't looked out the window once. The entire journey.
Because of your phone.
Because of my phone. And there was a moment where I put it face down on my knee and just looked out the window. And the landscape was beautiful. And my first thought was, I should take a picture of this.
To look at later on your phone.
To look at later on my phone. And I thought, how can I put this? I thought that something has changed. Not dramatically, not in a science fiction way, but quietly, in the way I reach for experiences now.
Through a screen first.
Through a screen first. And that actually reminds me of something I read about AI recommendation systems, the ones that decide what you see on every platform. Because the thing those systems are extraordinarily good at is predicting what will make you reach for your phone in the first place.
They know before you do.
Before you do. And to be perfectly honest, I find that more interesting than frightening. Because the way I see it, every technology that's ever existed has changed what we reach for. Books changed it. Radio changed it. Television absolutely changed it.
Your grandmother probably said the same thing about television that people now say about AI.
Almost certainly. Speaking of which, there's this wonderful archive of newspaper articles from the 1950s about television. And the language is almost identical to what you read today about AI. It will destroy attention spans. It will replace human connection.
children will never go outside again.
And yet, here we all are.
Outside, occasionally.
Occasionally. Which is funny because the thing about AI that feels genuinely different to me, different from television, different from the internet, is the personalization. Television spoke to everyone at once. Same program, same time, same experience.
A shared culture.
A shared culture, exactly. And there was something, I've actually been thinking about this a lot lately. There was something socially cohesive about that. You and your neighbor watched the same news broadcast. You had the same reference point.
And now?
And now an AI system curates a completely unique information environment for every single person. Your reality and my reality, even if we live on the same street, could be almost entirely different.
Which is either personalization at its most sophisticated.
Or isolation at its most invisible.
Bear with me here, because I want to make a distinction that I think gets lost in most conversations about AI. There's a difference between AI as a tool and AI as an environment. A hammer is a tool. You pick it up, you use it, you put it down. It doesn't change the room it's in.
But an environment
surrounds you. It shapes your perception without you noticing. And I think this is the part that gets really interesting. I think AI has quietly moved from being a tool to being an environment for most people, without any announcement, without any decision being made.
It just happened.
It just happened, the way weather happens. Speaking of which,
Wait, are you bridging to weather right now?
I'm bridging to weather.
He did this in the bridge challenge too. He has a weather problem.
The weather is the perfect metaphor for everything. Nobody decides what the weather will be. Nobody voted on it. It's the result of 1,000 interacting systems that are individually predictable and collectively chaotic. That's Al. That's exactly what Al is right now.
That's a fascinating point. Let me think about that for a second. Because if Al is weather, if it's genuinely emergent, genuinely chaotic in that way, then the idea of any individual company or government controlling it is
Like trying to regulate Tuesday.
like trying to regulate Tuesday. And yet, what I mean is, I don't think that's a reason for passivity. The fact that you can't control the weather doesn't mean you don't carry an umbrella.
You build for the conditions.
You build for the conditions. And the way I see it, the people who will navigate Al most successfully, not just professionally but humanly, are the ones who've thought carefully about what they actually value. Because Al is extraordinarily good at giving you what you want.
Which is only useful if you know what you want.
Which is, how can I put this? Which is maybe the oldest problem in human history, dressed up in new clothes.
What do I want? Who do I want to be?
And no algorithm can answer that. To be perfectly honest, I think that's the most important thing to say about Al and daily life. The technology will optimize relentlessly for your stated preferences. And if your stated preferences are shallow,
It will make you very efficiently shallow.
very efficiently shallow, at extraordinary scale and speed.
And this is the part that gets really interesting, because that means the future of Al in daily life is, in a very real sense, a philosophical question before it's a technological one.
What kind of life do you actually want?
What does a good day feel like? Not a productive day, not an optimized day, a good one.
And I think there's something about this I can't quite articulate, but I think the people who've sat with that question, who've been slightly bored, who've looked out the train window without taking a picture,
Are more prepared for the AI future than any course could make them.
because they know what the unmediated version of themselves feels like,
The one that doesn't need a recommendation engine.
the one that already knows what it likes.
That was a good conversation.
That was a really good conversation.
Did you plan any of that?
Not a word, did you?
The train. That's all I had.
The train. That's where it started. And it ended somewhere completely different, somewhere neither of us expected to go. 3 tools.
Tools, one conversation.
The pyramid, we took simple observations and built them outward. The train, the phone, the window.
The bridge, we moved. Television to Al, Al to weather, weather to philosophy.
The fillers, we held the space when we needed to think. How can I put this? Bear with me here, to be perfectly honest.
And we never stopped.
Not once.
Neither will you.
Okay, we're breaking the fourth wall for a second. Just us 3, you, me, and Mike.
I
If you're listening to this right now, maybe on your commute, maybe doing dishes, maybe lying in bed avoiding the thing you're supposed to be doing,
We see you.
we see you. And we know what the inside of that silence feels like. That moment when English stops and your brain goes completely, terrifyingly quiet.
It's not a sign that you're bad at English.
It's a sign that nobody taught you architecture.
Nobody showed you that you can take the smallest sentence, I like coffee, and build a conversation out of it. A real one.
Your vocabulary is probably already enough, right now, before you learn a single new word.
What you need is the structure, and that's exactly what we've built together today.
Here's what we want you to practice. Pick any simple sentence, anything. I like music. I live in an apartment. I work in an office. Write down your 4 expansions. Who, where, why, how.
Don't worry about it being perfect. Don't worry about grammar. Just build the pyramid. See how far you can go.
Then, in one conversation, real or imagined, every 3 or 4 sentences, build a bridge. Use one of the 10 phrases. Move to a new topic.
Don't plan where you're going. Let the bridge take you. Trust the phrase. Start speaking. Let the destination surprise you.
And when the pause comes, because it will come, reach for a thinking phrase instead of
Replace the sound with the phrase. That's all.
And if you're feeling brave, say it all out loud. To yourself, to a mirror, to your cat.
Cats are actually very non-judgmental conversation partners,
They genuinely don't care.
which is the ideal practice environment.
We want to say something before we go, and we want to say it slowly because we mean it.
Learning a language as an adult is one of the most vulnerable things a human being can do.
Think about what it asks of you. It asks you to sound like a child when you are not a child. It asks you to stumble in public. It asks you to reach for a word and come back with nothing in front of other people and to try again anyway.
That takes a particular kind of courage, the kind that doesn't look dramatic from the outside, but is enormous on the inside.
And if you've been doing that, if you've been showing up to English even imperfectly, even hesitantly, even just by listening to us on your commute,
You are already braver than you're giving yourself credit for.
the 3 steps we've given you today, they're real. They work. Not because they're magic, but because they're honest about what conversation actually is. It's not performance, it's not proof of intelligence, it's just thinking out loud together.
And you can do that in English.
You can do that today with what you already have.
The pyramid gives you depth.
The bridge gives you range.
The fillers give you time.
And time in a conversation is everything.
Go have one, a real one, a long one.
Let it go somewhere unexpected.
Let it surprise you.
I'm Sarah,
I'm Mike
and we will see you.
in the next conversation.
Take care of yourselves.